Today's program is brought to you by pennystockprofessor.com. For all the best OTCBB stock picks, sign up at pennystockprofessor.com.
Thank you for tuning in to another TBC Daily News Update. I'm Brandon Vincent.
And I'm Angelina Soriano. In entertainment news, Paula Abdul has a million reasons to appear on Dancing with the Stars. ABC has offered Abdul a $1 million development deal with one catch, that she has to appear on Dancing with the Stars. ABC has been going after Paula for a few years now, trying to get her on Dancing with the Stars. According to the proposed deal, ABC would allow Paula to do the X Factor with Simon Cowell. We're told Simon and Paula met a week ago to discuss the show, and it looks like it will happen. Paula has to make a quick decision because the ABC offer is contingent on Paula doing Dancing with the Stars this season, which starts in March. A rep for ABC says they don't comment on prospective cast members.
In today's financial news, stocks fell sharply, sending the Dow Jones Industrial Average to its worst two-day percentage drop since June, as governments showed signs of toughening their love this year and racing to support financial markets last year. The Dow fell 213.27 points, or 2%, after Wednesday's 122-point drop. It is down 3.1% in 2 days. After beginning the year with sharp gains, the Dow now shows a decline of 0.4% for 2010. Thursday's pullback allowed for President Barack Obama's announcement of plans to limit bank size and move back towards the long-standing division between commercial banks, which cater to the broad public, and investment firms, which take bigger risks and trade for their own accounts. Stocks briefly rebounded after Democratic Massachusetts Representative Barney Frank, chairman of the House Financial Services Committee, said the changes could take years to accomplish, but they soon resumed their declines. Financial shares in the S&P 500 fell 3%, while there were signs that the concerns went beyond the day's Washington news. Companies that make basic commodities such as copper and steel that are beneficiaries of the world growth fell 4%, even more than financials. The continuing declines of stocks linked to global growth reflect concerns that governments are starting to pull back some of their support for world economies.
Today in international news, fear of more Chinese policy tightening spooked global markets on Tuesday after Beijing ordered some banks to comply immediately with a planned increase in reserves, and a report suggested earlier attempts at curbing lending had failed. The developments prompted concern that the central bank would get more aggressive about reining in credit to fend off inflation and asset bubbles, potentially dragging on growth in the world's third largest economy. China implemented a planned increase in required reserves for some banks on Tuesday, sparking heavy selling of Asian stocks that underscored how sensitive global investors are becoming to Beijing's tightening of monetary policy. China has been one of the main drivers of the global economy recovery in the absence of a strong rebound in the West, and investors fear a slowdown there would stunt its demand for commodities and other imported goods. The punitive increase in the amount of reserves some banks have had to set aside, which was ordered last week, also came after a newspaper report said China's efforts to curb bank lending were meeting with mixed success, fueling fears that policymakers may take tougher action soon. Chinese banks extended $212 billion in new loans during the first 19 days of the year as they scrambled to front-load lending. The People's Bank of China has been withdrawing funds from money markets over the past several weeks, and earlier this month started pushing short-term bill rates higher.
In today's U.S. news, the Supreme Court has handed lobbyists a new weapon. A lobbyist can now tell any elected official, if you vote wrong, my company, labor union, or interest group will spend unlimited sums explicitly advertising against your re-election. We've got $1 million we can spend advertising for you or against you, whichever one you want. A lobbyist can tell lawmakers, said Lawrence Noble, a lawyer at Skadden Arps in Washington and former general counsel for the Federal Election Commission. The decision seeks to let voters choose for themselves among a multitude of voices and ideas when they go to the polls. But it will also increase the power of organized interest groups at the expense of candidates and political parties. It is expected to unleash a torrent of attack advertisements from outside groups aiming to sway voters, without any candidate having to take the criticism for dirty campaigning. The biggest beneficiaries might be well-placed incumbents whose favor companies and interest groups are eager to court. And it could have a big impact on state and local governments where a few $1 million can have more influence on elections.
In entertainment news, a 16-year-old girl has set out to become the youngest person to sail around the world alone. Abby Sunderland of Thousand Oaks, California, sailed into the sunny Pacific Ocean on Saturday after being delayed a few days by a series of violent storms in California. Her boat builder father Lawrence, along with other family members and friends, cheered at the Del Rey Yacht Club as they watched the 40-foot craft called Wild Eyes depart. She plans to be at sea for 5 or 6 months, and she will be alone but able to communicate via satellite telephone and a blog at appysunderland.com. The current record holder is 17-year-old Mike Perham of Britain, who took the mark last year from then 17-year-old brother Zach. We will keep you up to date as the story progresses.
The Chinese Foreign Ministry lashed out Friday against criticism of China in a speech on internet censorship made by Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, calling on the United States government to respect the truth and to stop using the so-called internet freedom question to level baseless accusations. Ma Zhaozhou, a foreign ministry spokesman, said a written statement posted Friday afternoon on the ministry's website that criticism leveled by Mrs. Clinton on Thursday was harmful to Sino-American relations. He also said the Chinese internet is open. The statement by Foreign Ministry, along with scratching editorial in the English-language edition of the Global Times, a populist patriotic newspaper, signaled that China was ready to wrestle politically with the United States in a debate over internet censorship. President Obama promised last year to start a more consolidatory era in United States-China relations, pushing human rights issues to the background, but new criticism of China's internet censorship and rising tensions over currency valuation and Taiwan's arms sales indicate that animus could flare in the months ahead. Today's OTCBB Top 10 volume trading stocks as of noon are as follows. Greenshift Corporation, GERS, with 127 million shares. Cyberlux Corporation, CYBL, with 94 million shares. Unico Incorporated, UNCO, with 94 million shares. Camelot Entertainment Group Incorporated, CMGR, with 80 million shares. Cord Blood America Incorporated, CBAI, with 48 million shares. Sayeta Corporation, CYCA, with 37 million shares. Zevatech Incorporated, ZVTK, at 33 million shares. Encompass Group Affiliates Incorporated, ECGA, at 14 million shares, Artfest International Incorporated, ARTS, at 12 million shares, and Bonanza Oil and Gas Incorporated, BGOI, at 8 million shares. In today's green news, we know the greenest option for a business card. Scratch the info off of a card already handed to you, replace it with your own, and recirculate it. Nothing greener than reuse. But it isn't exactly professional looking, is it? Could a token also be a green solution? It ditches paper and shares social network information digitally just by high-foring someone who also has a token. Everything from email to Twitter and Facebook information can be transferred with a touch. Okay, so it has the great features that you can share information digitally in an instant, no gathering up a stack of business cards at an event only to have to input the data yourself into the computer and put the cards in recycling. No more having to shell out a pretty penny on cards printed on recycled paper and soy ink with all of the other elements that make it a little bit greener. No more running out of those carefully greened up cards in the middle of an event. These are all tempting features, but does it make a token greener than using a business card? First, it only works with people who also have a token, which means that everyone needs to hop on board with this to make it useful. With that in mind, we'd love to see a life cycle analysis on this product so that we can compare its footprint that of paper business cards. How long does it last and how recyclable is it? It also only holds 100 contacts at a time. Users might still want business cards or 2 or 3 tokens to make sure that they have enough to share. The Token Pulse seems like a better alternative, since it's the same thing but on a 2 gig flash drive, making it more useful in the long run, and it doesn't look as cheesy as the regular tokens. Also, many smart devices have the ability to beam info. If 2 people have an iPhone, Palm Pilot, or similar device, you can share info without needing to buy another electronic widget. Or there's Text ID, which accomplishes the same thing as a token but without either user needing anything but their cell phone. While the token seems like a great alternative to paper business cards, especially for those heavily involved in online social networking as it links up with Facebook and Twitter and 45 other social networking sites, however, it doesn't seem to be much greener alternative than what services we already have available. It seems much more appropriate that if you're looking to take your business info digital, you use services that are digital on the devices you already own to transfer the information.
Thank you for tuning in to another TBC Daily News Update. I'm Brandon Vincent.
And I'm Angelina Soriano.